So the Deputy Leader of the Borough Council, Councillor Cllr Golby, joins me this morning. Councillor Golby, good morning to you.
Morning, Phil. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks very much indeed. Thanks for coming on and taking the questions this morning. I mentioned this council meeting that took place last night. What was decided in that?
So we've decided that we are going to actually push the decision through to a scrutiny meeting. To be honest, all the information that will be going to scrutiny is already in the public domain. So this is just a way of allowing people their moment to engage in another way, I suppose you could say.
So you are effectively doing what Julie Bromwich and many others are asking to do, which is have a pause for reflection and just take consultation, take the views of your local constituents and indeed council taxpayers as to what the future for this site should be.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned council taxpayers, because council taxpayers have been shoring up this civic hall for many years to the tune of many millions of pounds. And it's right that we as a council actually look at that, and we have looked at that, and that is how we've come to the decision that it's actually untenable to keep going in the way that we are we've got spend pressures in other areas.
Was that the reason why you took the decision to close the Civic Hall so quickly then?
Can I just, well, it's not quick. To be perfectly honest, and this is something that nobody seems to want to accept, the Civic Hall has never been open as an entertainment venue under the Conservative administration. The Civic Hall closed as an entertainment venue over 2.5 years ago.
Right.
So this is not just whipping it out from underneath people.
A vaccination centre, isn't it? So you seem to be saying that as a point of pride, Councillor Golby.
There's no pride in having to do this. This is a very hard decision, and it's one that we've taken very seriously. And we have obligations to fulfil. We can only spend £1 once, and we have to prioritise where we spend the money that we've got coming in. And everybody knows council budgets are tight, everybody's household budgets are tight, and to ask people to pay for the Civic Hall through council tax when they potentially may lose, for example, it's been mooted that we go to 3 weekly bin collections to pay for the Civic Hall. That's not acceptable.
Okay.
We cannot put at risk a statutory service for the sake of a non-statutory service. And that's something else that I need to get through to people is this is a discretionary service. It's non-statutory. And quite frankly, it's been run appallingly for the last God knows how many years.
Well,
and the last administration abdicated their responsibilities, and now we are left cleaning up the mess.
They're not here to answer those questions, but you are, and we've allowed you to point the finger there, Councillor Golby, and without wanting to rewrite history or replay history, let's try and be a bit sort of future-looking here and see what the published plans are and what you want to replace the building, a mix of housing, shops, theatre, library.
Yeah.
Planning permission. Let's come to that, shall we? Has that been applied for? Is there any funding for that to come from within the council budget, which you say yourself are so tight?
We put the plans out, or the high-level plans were put out a couple of weeks ago. We are nowhere near planning permission, as you well know. The process takes quite some time to get to that point.
Right.
And there will actually be consultation as part of the planning process. Again, as is the planning process, the local community will get the chance to comment on any plans that go into the planning system.
So no planning permission yet, no budget.
Of course
yet.
not. It only went out a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I'm just establishing the facts, Councillor Golby. This is not a criticism; it's just observations. Okay, no planning permission yet, no budget yet. Where will the money come from then? If you say council tax funds are so tight that you need to deal with statutory needs that the council and service provides, you're going to have to get an outside party, aren't you, to fund a lot of this? Who's that going to be? Where's that going to come from?
Well, we're working on that right now. Again, this has only happened in a matter of weeks. I can't answer that question right now, and it's slightly unreasonable to ask it.
So there's no developer on board or any interested parties? Anybody's expressed in this yet? Right. No, I'm just trying to establish the facts, Councillor Golby, right? I'm just trying to establish the facts because people will go, well, look, all of these proposals look great. The artist impressions look fancy. It all looks shiny and new. But if there aren't actually people on board in the background ready to sort of carry all this out, people will naturally, Councillor Golby, ask the question, how realistic are these proposals?
They are realistic in so much as they came out a few weeks ago. We are working on putting together further details that can go into the public domain. Everything we do should be put out in the public domain as quickly as possible, and that is what we are working to. We've basically had to do this quickly because the NHS, as it was mentioned last night, pulled out of the Civic Hall earlier. And we were looking at options of how we get the Civic Hall back on its feet. It's not tenable. We've had to accelerate this part of this option, shall we say. And we are working with our council officers to try and attract outside interest. So I would put an appeal out there that if there's any developers out there that want to come and have a word with us and fund a regeneration of Bedworth Town Centre, because everybody knows Bedworth Town Centre needs wholesale regeneration. We're not just talking about one building, we're talking about a wider programme of works here to regenerate the town centre for the people of Bedworth, because they've been neglected for years and years, and we want to do something about that.
Got to leave it there. Councillor Cllr Golby, Deputy Leader of Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, appealing for interested developers to help them with their plans for Bedworth Civic Hall. Hi, Gail. Thanks for the text.